Well, I'm going to ask the question that all of America is asking, and that is whether John Bolton's mustache was raided. We're looking for the stash. Okay?
The
Don't forget
stash
to
and the
check the
mustache.
stash, Cash.
That's right. There's a lot of rhyming words there. Cash and stash and mustache and the whole works. Yeah.
Here's the thing. This is real. Everything they said about Trump was unreal. And what this is doing is distilling down into one crystal clear example for all of the non-TDS Americans out there. The Democrats have no credibility. My mother always used to say, when I'd come home with hurt feelings from somebody bullying me or whatever, consider the source, right? Consider the source. Look who it is that's saying those things about you. What do you think about them? Then why should you care about what they have to say? Well, consider the source with all of this hand-wringing we're seeing on CBN and MSLSD. I don't care if it's MS Now. It's always going to be MSLSD to me.
Yeah, that's true. It is MS Now. Did they change over? Did they change over?
But they announced that they're going to change over.
Okay.
And look, the hypocrisy is just unbelievable. And I've seen so many TikToks and X and Insta stitches showing that was then, this is now clips of people saying, well, this is the process and no one's above the law. And now Trump has weaponized government. This is the end of democracy. Well, guess what? We want it to be the end of democracy because we have a constitutional republic and most emphatically not a democracy, Joe.
I gotta tell you something here because, again, the guy looked pretty nervous and I showed you that picture. But here, let me just tell you what some of them were saying. FBI Director Kash Patel, he posted on X that no one is above the law, and he's referring right to John Bolton. Dan Bongino came on, and he said that the public corruption will not be tolerated. Attorney General Pam Bondi retweeted on X. She said, America's safety is not negotiable, and justice will be pursued. And President Trump, good old President Trump, they're best of friends, him and John Bolton. He said he's a lowlife, talking about Bolton, very unpatriotic, and that we're going to find out if he's got anything. We're going to find out. And it could be as much as 20 years in prison. So here's the thing. As we look into this, there's a lot of smoke because he did put out a book. And they're saying that some of the classified information, in that book could be classified and he may not have been able to put it in there. So they're going to look into the book. And then he has all those yellow legal pads. This was when he was, director of security, national director of security. And they said that was very suspicious, but nobody ever caught on why he's taking all these notes because he's not even allowed to take a notepad home with him. All right. That would be against the law, too. But also, they got information from the IRS and the CIA. And the IRS is saying, we got to look into his finances. Because he's got a net worth, I think, of $6-8 million. It hasn't really been publicly made known, but it's high. And the guy makes a couple $100,000 a year. I know he had in Washington, D.C., a couple $100,000 doesn't go very far. And they're saying that his overseas bank accounts don't make sense. They're like way too high, and his tax returns and all that just don't add up to what he should do.
And that's the real issue, okay? The real issue isn't whether he has classified documents. Of course he has. Everybody in D.C. does. But they'll get him on that. But the real issue is that he profited off of it. And he's been spending an inordinate amount of time in our favorite country, Qatar, which is the leading sponsor of terrorism in the world after now that Iran has been defunded. And I think that's really what's going to end him up in prison, is that he ended up profiting off of the classified information he stole.
Yeah, because his net worth is very high. And again, he was living off of his paychecks from the government, as all of them are.